Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Okay, I think we should get going. So, welcome everyone for this session. And today's class is well-awaited class, right? So, we have been planning and waiting for this class for a while now. And today's session is focused on artificial intelligence, right? So, we'll have a guest speaker. He's a subject matter expert, right? So, Farooq will be the one delivering this lecture. And the main focus will be on what AI brings to our lives, how AI is being used in today's world. And on a front ground, what definitely we all have been using AI in different aspects, whether Netflix, whether it's some searches and all that. But at the end of the day, what's happening in the background, right? So we'll go into a little bit more details, what happening in the background, and plus Farooq will share with us some demos, probably some videos and some live information that how AI get to work right in the background. So he'll give us some live session that will be very interesting, I guess. And important thing is that feel free to ask questions, right? So if you have any questions, raise your hand in the Google Meet. You see on the bottom side, the hand is there. So raise that hand so you can ask questions. And today's session definitely is going to be a detailed session. We'll take a break for namaz break for Pakistan. So I don't know, it's 9:15 or whatever the namaz time. Just we'll take a break maybe in an hour. And after that, we'll continue the second part of the class. And we'll see how it goes because we have Farooq has spent a lot of time and energies to bring a very nice content, right? So I reviewed with him yesterday. It looks very nice, very interesting. So I spoke with Farooq that let's see if we can deliver as much as possible, right? Because this all is important, especially for the next many years. AI is the one which is leading the industry, right? In every field of IT or non-IT. So it's not just IT. So definitely it's something very variable for everyone, regardless which career domain you are in, right? So important thing is that we'll see how the today's session goes and feel free to ask question. It's all new for everyone. Don't just think that you don't know AI. No one knows AI. So no question is a bad question. All questions are right questions. So to keep that in mind. Don't think that it's a very basic question is that I don't know. No one knows, right? So it's feel free to ask anytime. And so this is the important thing. Feel free to ask questions. We'll see how it goes. If we are able to cover all the content today is great. Otherwise, we'll plan for another session, maybe tomorrow or maybe next week. So we'll see. And so let's quickly run through that. So far in our course, we have covered a lot of things, right? So we are leaning towards end of the course. So right now, today's session is artificial intelligence. And after that, we still left with the Windows operating system and Linux operating system details. We'll probably do some little bit deep dive on those sessions, right? So they are upcoming sessions and they are very important sessions. But I think in my view, this artificial intelligence and the Linux session will be very important, especially for those who wants to make a career in those domains, right? So a little bit about Farooq, right? Farooq is being my friend and my colleague for last many years. And we used to work together in some settings. So he is a computer science graduate and he did masters from computer science from Pakistan. And after that, he worked few years in Pakistan, ABL, Multinet, Cybernet, and few other settings. And after that, he moved abroad. He worked in the Middle East as well as he worked in Europe. He worked in Amazon Web Services, AWS, in I think Ireland, or correct me if I'm wrong where you are. It's being tons of experience. He's been experienced with network. He started his journey with networking, and later on he moved towards Amazon Web Services. And he's being in last few years he's been evolved more in a capacity of entrepreneurship. He's running a few startups right now, and he's been working a lot with a lot of development tools, especially based on AI and machine learning and all that. So he has been involved with AI for last few years, and he's been very rigorously working on different things, and he'll share his knowledge and his experience. So with that, without further ado, I'll pass it on to you, Farooq. So, Farooq, please take the control. I'll stop the sharing. You can share, and you can first start with your own introduction. Right.
Thank you, Haribhai. I will, for this brief introduction, I will just try to share my slide. I'm becoming presenter, I think so. Uh,
Yeah,
uh,
up arrow key, right? Up arrow key. Take it up here.
yeah. Yeah.
Shahnawaz, you have your hands up. You have any question? It's okay. Okay.
No, it's sorry, I mistakenly clicked
Oh, it's okay.
the raised hand. Sorry.
No issues. Yeah, Farooq, we
So
can see
first
your
of all,
screen.
yeah. So first of all, thank you, Haris bhai, for this brief introduction and inviting me for this course. And thank you everyone for joining this. Inshallah, it will be very exciting. So just to start with, like what AI is. These days, like AI is like it's like a buzzword, and AI machine learning is a hot topic, and everyone is talking about it, especially after the Chat GPT. So sometimes it's become very confusing. Inshallah, this course will help to understand things in simple words and simple concepts. So, uh, um, just to start with, like as a motivation, why should you learn AI? Uh, as per Sundar Pichai, AI is the most important thing ever happened after electricity and fire. So it is something like electricity and fire is very common these days. So in the next few years, AI will be part of our lives. It will be hard to imagine anything without artificial intelligence in it. So this is something like some knowledge which will be there for next 10 or 20 years to come. Uh, AI in simple words is a broad term for machine that act like human. So using AI, or we can make computer program to be smart enough to think and learn. Just to start with, like there is one video which I can share to you guys, like which we thought of, like in this video. I will switch my audio. Just a minute.
Before I head out to the night market, let's dive into some exciting frontiers of digital humans.
Imagine a future where computers interact with us just like humans can.
Hi, my name is Sophie, and I am a digital human brand ambassador for Unique.
This is the incredible reality of digital humans. Digital humans will revolutionize industries, from customer service to advertising and gaming. The possibilities for digital humans are endless.
Using the scans you took of your current kitchen with your phone,
They will be AI interior designers, helping generate beautiful photorealistic suggestions and sourcing the materials and furniture.
we have generated several design options for you to choose from.
They'll also be AI customer service agents, making the interaction more engaging and personalized, or digital healthcare workers who will check on patients, providing timely, personalized care.
I did forget to mention to the doctor that I am allergic to penicillin. Is it still okay to take the medication?
The antibiotics you've been prescribed, ciprofloxacin and metronidazole, don't contain penicillin, so it's perfectly safe for you to take them.
And they'll even be AI brand ambassadors, setting the next marketing and advertising trends.
Hi, I'm Ima, Japan's first virtual model.
New breakthroughs in generative AI and computer graphics let digital humans see, understand, and interact with us in human-like ways.
From what I can see, it looks like you're in some kind of recording or production setup.
The foundation of digital humans are AI models. built on multilingual speech recognition and synthesis, and LLMs that understand and generate conversation.
你们部落有什么特别的习俗吗？
我们有丰富的祭祀仪式和传统舞蹈，还有对大自然的崇拜。
The AIs connect to another generative AI to dynamically animate a lifelike 3D mesh of a face. And finally, AI models that reproduce lifelike appearances, enabling real-time path-traced subsurface scattering to simulate the way light penetrates the skin, scatters, and exits at various points, giving skin its soft and translucent appearance. NVIDIA ACE is a suite of digital human technologies packaged as easy to deploy, fully optimized.
Gaurav, we can't hear. Video stop ho gayi hai and yeah.
So right now, like learning marketing from NVIDIA now. So
Okay, let's continue. Yeah.
yeah. So back to like as you guys have seen like the potential of AI and what is there and what like NVIDIA particularly they are building. So to continue like that was a very brief example of what's happening around the world with AI. To have LLM, digital humans, and this is something like a starting of what's going to happen in future, and it's actually happening right now. So just to start with, like AI is not something new. So it's like it was invented by Mr. John McCarthy, and he is the actual guy who coined the term artificial intelligence way back in 1955. He is called like a founding father of AI. AI didn't came like with ChatGPT. It was there since long time, like since 1955, and he made the first Lisp, which is like list processing, which was an AI research at that time. So this is like coming back like since 1955. There are few types of AI like which are commonly used, like it's broken into this 5 type. Interactive AI, which we are using on daily basis, like a chatbots or a smart assistant. Text AI, which is for text recognition, speech to text conversion. Function AI, which are like a small model which can be installed on Raspberry Pi or like IoT solution or robots. Visual AI, which we are using for like in by Tesla in computer vision, and similarly there's some analytic AI. So there are few of
Just hold on a second. Farooq, can you go back to previous slide?
Yeah.
So I want to see from the audience perspective, right? So this is where it's showing that these are the 5 types, and many of us using it, right, without knowing that is actually AI working in the background, especially on the phones. You see this text recognition, it automatically tells you that what could be the text you are trying to write, right? It predicts the text and try to do that. So there are many things which we already are using in our day-to-day life, and some things that have been used for quite a while now, right? So important thing is chatbots, right? Especially a lot of times we open and talk to someone on the tech support or for some support, these chatbots are talking to us, right? It's not the human. So these are the, I mean, on a high level, 5 categories. I think probably we'll gonna dig deep on these, right?
Okay, so now we will go through the few of the applications like healthcare. So AI is used in medical imaging system to analyze medical scans. For example, to scan for any of the cancer or any other disease is much more better and faster using AI. So it is extensively being used to diagnose diseases. Similarly, it can be used to develop some personalized medicine or medical plans for the patients. It is also being used in finance, for example, for fraud detection, algorithmic trading, and even to make investment decisions. Like people are using or making AI application in trading decision, like to buy stocks or something like this. Transportation, we all know, like we have self-driving cars, which is very common. Even traffic management system, they are using AI. Logistic and auto optimization, they are using AI. Customer service, like we are every day interacting with this chatbot. Like for example, if you call to some bank, the first attendant is an AI. Sometimes it's annoying, but it is there. People are interacting with it, and it is sort of helping the bank to place a virtual assistant which can interact with the customer. Based on the sentiment of the customer, it can change its behavior. So all these things already there, and we are already using it. Similarly, it is being used in education also, like Khan Academy is already using and like there's extensive application of AI being used by Khan Academy. So using AI, they can be personalized learning system and automated grading system for the students. The students can interact with the AI and can get the real time feedback on the like solution which they have done. Similarly, like so these are like few of the applications, but the thing is like uh, it is not the end of the application. There are many things which are about to come, and AI will keep on evolving. Only the thing is, AI, because there's a myth that AI will replace it. But the thing is, AI will not replace us. But the people who will be using AI, they will replace us. So, because it is something what we are doing on daily basis. Like one of the application what we do on daily basis is, I will give you one example. Yeah. So for example, like every day we are writing emails. So like I'm using AI. So for example, like if I have to write an email and I just write over here, and if I am working in a customer service, so I can even use AI to change the tone of any email which I'm writing to the customer. So regardless of how or which mood I am in, I can use the AI, or with the help of AI, I can paraphrase any text to the desired tone for the customer or for the audience. And how we are doing it, I will show you later in the course. Similarly, there are many use cases. For example, if you want to create a subject line, like every day we are writing email, so we can just create a subject using AI. We can give it like a body of the text, and it can generate the subject for you. Similarly, these days the issue is everybody is using AI now. There's a race to win within by even by using AI. So there are mechanism in place which are sort of detecting AI generated text and like blocking it or marking it or flagging it. So for that we can use AI to beat AI. So, for example, like we have a text which is generated by AI. We can put it in this tool, and it can humanize it and generate the text which will bypass AI detection. So there is no like something special about in happening in the background. What we are doing is simple thing like we are doing some fine tuning, training the model in a way that it will bypass the current detection mechanism, and then if there is something involved in the future, this fine tuning will keep on happening. And what fine tuning is, what this model is, what this framework is, it will come later on. So similarly,
This is very interesting, right? So this tool
yeah,
which Farooq is showing right now is the right tool. Actually, I've been using this tool for a while. It's a very interesting tool actually developed by Farooq and his team, and it's actually do a lot of interesting things, right? As Farooq shown, it totally uses the AI to set the tone of your text, right? Whatever text, it could be your assignment, it could be your any official document, it could be your email, and you can set the tone, like if you are angry, if you are happy, if you are formal, if you are casual, whatever, right? And on top of that, important thing is that the last part he mentioned is the humanizer, right? So these days everyone is using AI, and AI based texts have been used a lot, but sometimes some sites are blocking those texts, right? Because they want to make sure that humans are using them, especially in the school and college and university assignments. Sometimes people are just cutting paste from the internet, right? So that will help in that case with cheating. I would say that you can humanize it. You can take it the internet based text, and you can just change it. It will feel like some human has written it. So it's very interesting. You look at it, right? The way technology is going, it's helping you in many ways. Before, we have to have good English skills, and you have to be a very good in certain things to write a good text or any on any topic. But now with the help of AI, you see it's become very simple. You just put your what you want to achieve, right? And it will do it for you. Yes, yes, Tarek, go ahead.
Yeah. So what is the name of the tool? It's right tone is the name of
yeah, right tone,
Right on that one.
right
WRITETON.
tone. Yeah. So is it available like can we search
Yeah,
or like
it is available. It's there like for some time. So the same
okay.
thing like what I was telling about, like it can even solve equations for you. Like for example, if you have some questions, you can just write in the plain English. It's like it has option of subject expert. So in right tone, if you go to the main page, you can go to subject expert, and there are expert from like these are fine-tuned model for relevant subjects. For example, someone wants something in mathematics, they can go there. Uh, like it can give you, like you can ask mathematical questions. For example, I gave this question: solve x square plus x equal to 8. So it describe in detail all the steps.
Okay.
It's not only this, like you can even take the picture of any question, and it can even solve that picture. Like you can just use a mobile, place it on any book question, scan it, and take a picture. It will solve that question for you. Similarly, like not only this, like if you go to like engineering, it can generate Cisco configuration also. For example, like any, so this can help. So this is something like in education, you can use it like for physics, chemistry, or any like even day-to-day in your engineering roles. You can ask questions. So these are like fine-tuned model. So like AI is already there. Like these things are like a very like tip of the iceberg what we are doing. So see, like here sample Cisco MPLS configuration. It gave you the like the sample configuration. Similarly for the MS is there. Similarly, if you are like any other expert, like if you are in another role or something like this, so like chemical engineering, petroleum engineering, there are like various subject on which we are trained. We have trained these models. So depending on that relevant subject, you can ask question. It will help you to get the answers. Your kids can get benefit from this.
No.
So it's like a few of the use cases which are already there, like in education, in your day-to-day life, for content generation, to bypass AI using AI, so for paraphrasing, like a lot of this. Okay, so first of all, like what is this machine learning thing, like how it came? So to understand this, like for example, this is a guy called Saad, and Saad lives in this house. So for example, like if you want to get to Saad house from here, and we are here in this location, so there are multiple paths available. So traditionally, like if you want to find the shortest path, we can have to calculate each and every alternate path manually. Like we can do it manually and calculate all the paths and find the shortest one. But machine can do it much more faster. Like we can program the machine, and machine can calculate each like it can take all the path and calculate the path and pick the best path or the shortest one. For example, here it is a route one. So similarly for the chess, machine can play chess because chess has a defined rules and moves. So those things can be coded or defined to the machine as an instruction, like with the if as a statement, and all the moves can be programmed. So like there will be a lot of moves to code and logic to be there, but it can be programmed. But there are few situations like if we ask the computer to tell about this person, like whether this person is angry or not, to actually to ask the sentiment of this person. Similarly, if we ask the computer whether this is a picture, like describe this picture, what is this picture, whether this is a picture of a cat or like which one. So for this thing, like this thing cannot be coded like with a simple if else statement. There are no simple instructions which we can code to the computer to identify all this thing. And this is something what human are good at. uh, so to train this thing, this is where machine learning came. So machine learning, or by using machine learning, we are giving data to the computer to learn and to improve based on the performance and experience. So this is something what we are doing. Like so, normally, like whenever we are stepping into machine learning, there are three buzzwords like AI, machine learning, and deep learning. So the first umbrella or the first set is like AI. In simple words, AI is a broader term or is a technique which enables machines to mimic human behavior. Then comes machine learning. Machine learning is actually a subset of AI, and these are unique techniques which use a statistical model to enable machines to improve with experience. And this is all is done without any coding or without giving any explicit instruction. And then the third is deep learning. Deep learning is like a subset of machine learning, and it is how actually it is trying to mimic how our brain works with neurons and having a neural network. It is like actually having a multi-layer neural network which will be described later on. So
yeah, 1 second. I think Farooq, go back. So
yeah.
This slide is very important. I would say these are the very baseline to understand the artificial intelligence and machine learning and deep learning, because these are the core, right? So artificial intelligence, our aim is that we want machines to or computers to think like human, right, and behave like human. That's very important, but it doesn't happen automatically, right? So then machine learning comes into the picture, right? So where machine automatically learns without any explicit instructions or programming, right? And this is the way big data is being used, right? So you have to let the machine work there. Think a machine started building the logic on their own. So this slide, I would say that after once we finish and we'll share the deck, make sure that this slide you understand very well, because this is will help you to go further in the AI knowledge building. Yeah, Farid, go ahead.
Okay, so categories of artificial intelligence, like broadly, artificial intelligence is in like it's described in two categories. First is narrow AI. So narrow AI is an AI which is trained to perform a specific task like voice assistant, facial recognition system, or recommendation system. Then comes the general AI. General AI is something, it's like in simple words, an AI which can do things like human. Like they can do, for example, housekeeping, or even surgery, or even scientific research. Like they are actually replicating human. And there was some drama like done by Sam Altman, he's like CEO of OpenAI. Like he came to Reddit and he just said that they have received and they have achieved AGI. AGI is artificial general intelligence, and people were like, there was like a lot of noise and news everywhere. Then he made an edit. No, they have not achieved it because they are still. It is still under development. Because if someone achieves AI, this means like they have achieved something equivalent to a human. Like AGI is like something like this. Okay, now we will do some demo, like a very quick demo. We will train a machine model and using AI. And there's a very good website, well, like Teachable Machine. I will try to get to this website. Just a minute.
So meanwhile, we start doing demo. Any questions on the base of the AI, right? Because important thing is that we all have to first understand the core concept is of the AI is let the computers think like human, right? And that's is a lot of hard work and programming and coding and modules to be trained, right, in the background. So any question on that before we move to demo? Okay, let's move on.
Okay. So for AI, the key component is the data set. So for data set, I got the data from Kaggle. Like it's a community, a community is putting all the data over there. They are arranging the data set, uploading it over here. And similarly, so what I did was like I have this teachable machine. You can train models over here, and even like you can play with it. It's totally free. It is organized by Google. So I will just try to train the model to recognize cat, dog, and any other animals. Like so, there are two models, like two data set. One is for the training, one is for the evaluation and testing. So for training, I got all the cat pictures. I'm loading it. Just
So right now
similarly
we are
for
starting
dog.
with base, right? So it doesn't know anything. We are putting some data, right? So because AI, important thing for AI is to have the data and train the data, right? So right now we're putting the data, and then it will train itself, right?
So this AI, we have given data of cat. We have given some like 200 sample images. Similarly for dog, we have given 200 sample images, and now we will train it. So it will take some time to train. Like it is just preparing some data in the background. It is asking to switch tab. Like okay. Okay, so right now we actually trained a model which can recognize cat and dogs, and we can test it. So for example, like this was the training data set. I am not using the training one. I am using the one for testing. So I will just pass it some sample image like this 100% cat. You can see the output. There's a certainty or the percentage. So it is cat 100%, dog 0%. Similarly, we will just pass it some other cat. Again, cat 100%, dog 0%. And we can do the same for dog. So for example, like if you can see, like I can just pass dog here. You can see like this dog picture, and it is like with certainty it is a dog. The interesting part is like if I pass some other wild animal, like there are some random pictures of tiger. See, for tiger, it is for this picture, it is detecting like 93% of cat and like 7% of dog. Because why? Because AI is assuming or is doing some like it's going through the CNN network and assuming that it has some cat features and it has some dog features. Similarly, like if I put See, this one it looks like 100% cat, like it's like a false positive. Similarly, this one, okay, it has like 86% cat. So, so like this is like a fox. We gave it again. It's like a 89% cat and 11% dog. So this is like a training model which you have just trained, and this can become more efficient because based on the number of sample images we can provide. It's like for limited training time because training a model takes time. And the beauty is like we can even export this model to use it offline. Like this is the code which they have given based on the like for example the platform which we are using, like TensorFlow can be exported. Like if you're using on JavaScripting, like it will be exported. So and you can reuse it. So this is something awesome. Like you guys can play with it. Next is like
one question from Majid: is it free?
Yeah, it's free.
I think
Yes,
important
it's
takeaway
totally
from
free.
this slide is that from this discussion is that training the data to make sure you get the better result, right? So more data it is,
Yeah.
the AI can perform better.
Yes. So this is something like you can play with it. Like it's like totally free. You can play with more options. Like there are a lot more features over there. Even and it's like an image is only one of them. And to get the foundation models or something like if you want to play offline, Hugging Face is the destination where you can get all the models. For example, like this is a website. This like totally community driven website where you can get the models. You can play offline, download offline, run offline, and just try to like tweak it or tune it because you don't have to start from scratch. It's already an existing model. Just get it, download it, and just use it. Similarly, for the data set, you can get data set from Hugging Face, like they have data sets. And similarly, from here, like you can search for data set over here. Like for example, diabetes data set, you can get some data set from other contributors. Similarly, cat and dog data set, I got it from here. So this is something like you have all the resources available online for free. Just the thing is like it has to be converted into something, some particular use case or some valuable thing. So okay, so I'm going to next slide. So this is another thing, like how did we actually got here? So traditionally, like the thing is like everything is business driven. So previously there was only spreadsheet with basic rows and column or CSVs, and people were used to analyze the CSVs to make business decisions. So this was like early days. Then more data came into picture, and there were more data from different sources. Then we need some better way to organize this data and to get some understanding out of this data. So then this DB or the like SQL type databases came into picture as things kept on growing. And like in 2000s, so YouTube, Facebook, Google, all this thing like hyperscaler appeared, and they have a lot of data. Like most of data like are unstructured data, and they cannot be, there is no relation, there is no way to correlate those data. So then this term called big data came into like in picture, and there is this database like MongoDB, which is sort of NoSQL. So to get some sense or some make some business decision out of this big data or unstructured data, machine learning came into picture to figure out things or to make some business decisions. Machine learning, actually these are four types of machine learning. Like the first is supervised, and then it's unsupervised, reinforcement, and transfer. Supervised is further classified in like two categories, like classification and regression. Similarly, unsupervised has some approach of clustering and some association with learning. There are two approaches. In the supervised learning, the thing the data is labeled. For example, in the previous demo, we had data of labeled like cat and then data of labeled dogs. So by this way, we can train the model to recognize cats and dogs. It's like a teacher guiding any student to learn something. It's like we are guiding the model to learn. For example, in this case, there is a label data and labels. So when we train the model initially, like if you see this model has been training, and once it's trained, we send us test data. So it has the labels. It knows what is square, what is triangle. So just makes the prediction. This is a square, is a triangle. Similarly, if we are training with any labeled faces and non-labeled, like any other random picture, so it knows like what is a face. It has a feature of two eyes, nose, mouth. So, so by this way, once this model is trained, if you pass it with some face, it will be able to recognize it's a face. So this is the beauty of this supervised learning. Now, thing is, in the unsupervised learning, the data is unlabeled. So machine has to find patterns and group in this data, and all by its own to define some categories. For example, like there is some apples, banana, mangoes. So machine has to find the common element and categorize it. Okay, these are apples, these are banana, these are mangoes. So it is like a, performing some clustering. Like for example, clustering is to group similar data points together based on similar features. Like they had a similar features, they are grouped together. Like it is common to group together, like for the plastic, metals, organic, and glass. Like when we are throwing out garbage. So similarly, like this is something what is done by this unsupervised learning. And where it is used, this thing, it's like it is. We are using it every day. If you're watching Netflix or if you're using Amazon, so they are using this recommendation engine. So this recommendation engine is recommending product, movies, or music or anything like which we have interest based on our previous behavior or experiences. So they are observing it, and based on this, they can recommend something to us. So this is like used, and we are every day interacting to it. And the thing is, like, it is something so useful that back in 2009, Netflix gave 1 million just to have 10% improvement in their recommendation system algorithm. Like just for 10%, they gave 1 million. There was one company who was able to achieve it, and it took like more than 4 years to achieve this 10%. So this is something like so critical
Just
to be
pause here.
used by
What was that setup? But why Amazon paid 1 million to the company?
Netflix.
Netflix pays
Okay.
1 million for what reason?
Okay, so they had this recommendation engine which had some error correction ratio of like I think zero 0.8 something. So they asked to improve this recommendation engine by 10% only. By this means, like for example, if you're watching any movie, so Netflix wants to recommend you some movie so that you will stay on the platform. For example, they want to keep you intact to the platform. You shouldn't be leaving the platform. So the thing is, like they want to present you automatically something interesting that you will like, and you will keep engaged, and you will continue watching on their platform. So this is something Netflix did, and only for that 10% improvement for this prediction algorithm to for the next movie, they paid like 1 million.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Okay, this is how this recommendation system work. Like there's another machine learning playground. I will just jump to that. It's another. I will this one. It's also free. So assume on the x-axis there is like a number of likes, and the y-axis is the duration of the video. So for example, there is Saad. Saad wants to like the video with other people like this numbers, and has a length of like around this numbers. Like this is the random distribution of the video which Saad likes, and this is the random distribution of the video. For example, Saad doesn't like, or Saad does just skip if it is presented. So it is something. Then this model will be trained. So, but based on this, like if I just press this train button, so this model has trained itself based on the Saad previous experience, like previous behavior. So now next time the YouTube will present the video which is lying in this orange, like light orange area, which is having like n number of likes and some n number of n duration. So and the human behavior can change, like something can happen. So this model can be we will be fine tuned later on. For example, Saz started watching like he has a free time, and now he's watching more videos or longer videos. So then this model will be trained. Now this model will be recommending like longer duration videos to Saz. This is how this prediction algorithm is working. Like they use k nearest neighbor, and this is how it is working. And there are other approaches also, like if you want to play with it, like perception, support vector system, decision trees. So like these are basic like statistical algorithm which are being used. That you can just visit the website, play with it, put some new data on it. So yeah.
And so this
And
prediction system is very important. I think we all are seeing in our everyday life when we use Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever, right? And plus Netflix or so, and even for Amazon, right? So when we do all these things, you see that they try to show us the content that we liked before, so they keep playing, right? So they are using this kind of logics in the background.
next thing is transfer learning. So in transfer learning, actually what is happening is like you have trained a model. It's particularly used mainly like in for example, there's this car which has a 4 tires. Similarly, there is a cow which has a 4 legs, and they all move from A to B. So, for example, there's some model with similar features which move from A to B. So you train one model and you can just pass it on to the other one, like other similar model or some similar requirements. I'll give you one example. It's like where it is used. For example, like it is used in self-driving car. For like Tesla can train one car or few set of cars in one terrain, and then those learning can be transferred to other set of cars, like in some other terrain. Like this is what they are doing in this transfer learning. They are syncing with the centralized controllers of this thing, and they are training the cars based on the other learning or each of the individual cars. Similarly, it is used in social media content moderation. For example, if something is flagged in one content, it will flag on other later content. Like if they flag you for something, they will flag you for the later post also. Similarly, in anomaly detection in financial market, it is being used. Like they transfer one learning to your, for example, future financial transaction also. Or for example, there was a fraud in some set of financial transaction, that that thing will be transferred as a learning approach to the other one. So this is being used. Another thing is like reinforcement learning. So it's a simple thing is like what happening in the background is for the right answer there's a plus score, for the wrong answer there's a negative score. So by this way, model learn itself by identifying on which things or which approaches it is getting a positive score. So model has to get a positive score. So for example, if you are training any model to play any game, so it will try to attain a positive score. It will keep on training itself till it is getting all the positive score. So where it is used is like um, it is used like in video games, like typically like if you have a brick game, it is being used. It's very there are many examples available online. It is used in robot control and navigation, dynamic pricing. For example, like it can optimize pricing strategies in real time by analyzing customer behavior and market trend. Like it will use this approach in the runtime or real time, it will change the pricing strategies. These are few actually algorithm which are used by these models. Few are like you might have studied in your statistical course in your universities. For example, like the very common one are like regression or decision trees, random forest. These are like commonly taught in university. Okay, now this is like NLP demo.
What is
Okay.
NLP, Farooq? We have not touched this concept.
Yeah, actually, natural language processing is NLP. It I will touch it later on. Why I'm giving a demo is because this will be like interesting demo at this point based on the previous thing. So, okay. So, for example, we know there is this Hugging Face. So what I did, the Hugging Face has a library called Transformer. This is a Python script. Most of the training or most of the coding is done on Python and machine learning. We can use other things like JavaScript also, but most of the thing is based on Python and and like Python interactive libraries like PyLib, all this thing. The base or key thing is like there should be a basic knowledge of Python. This is the very small code which
Farooq,
actually
there's a
can be
request
used
to
to,
increase the font size. People are not able to
yeah.
see some of the code as
Okay,
well.
let me see how. Customs.
You try with control up arrow or control.
I can do it here.
Control plus, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. More
Yeah.
easy.
It's fine, yeah.
Okay, is it visible now?
Yeah, far better.
Okay. So, uh, like Hugging Face has a library called Transformer, in which I just imported this T5. T5 is as a model like like for handling text, and another is a tokenizer. So normally you might have heard of in ChatGPT there are tokens, because each model has to be converted into the smallest unit which the model can understand. So this conversion is called tokenization. So what I did was a simple thing, like for example this text, sample text which I have to paraphrase, and so this is converted into tokens. Then it is just passed into model, and the once there is output, it is again the code. It is decoded. Simple. Like this three, actually technically it's a 3 line of code can generate paraphrasing. And to demonstrate this, like this is so this will be like done on live like this. So it has got this. It is running the model in the background, the T5, and it's doing this paraphrasing. So if you like, there are approaches to make it faster also using CUDA. Like I purposefully didn't use CUDA. Anyway, so if you can see, there was this like 1, 2, 3, 4 line, and each line has been paraphrased. Like line 2, write down Kennedy phrase. The line was paraphrasing, stuck with repetitive, say something like this, which has been converted to this one. Similarly, write down human GPT feature. So it paraphrased this line to this one. Similarly, like there are all this thing, like it kept on paraphrasing, and we can increase the number of iteration like by the parameters over here. Like I can ask him to paraphrase in like 3 different approaches, for example. Similarly, there is like a token length. You might have been and in OpenAI in the API, you might be seeing like there's something called tokens or some context window, like context window. So these are the parameters which we can tweak to limit something or some content of it or context of it. So this is something like if very with like 3 lines we can do paraphrasing. Like it's very simple. Just open, just like go to Hugging Face, get the model, and done. This person like it's like a thing. See, this is the all block of code. There's no other thing to be done in the background. Similarly, there's another thing like this is another library. So for example, like if you have to identify part of speech of any sentence, or to get the sentiment of any sentence. So for this one, there is approach again in NLP. There is the first step is tokenization. So there is this library called NLTK, which has like we got the tokenization first and the sentiment analysis first. So again, we gave it some random text. The process is again very simple. We will first uh, tokenize it. Once it is tokenized, we will send to the function for part of speech analysis, then sentiment analysis. And there are 2 functions which are defining over here. So particularly like just just a simple function which is identifying and assigning like noun, verb, and adverb. Similarly, there is some sentiment with the score. So like with a few coding lines, we can achieve all this thing like, and I can run this now. See, so all these lines were passed to it, and for example, on the first line, it was able to detect nouns. These are noun, like right tone, tones are writing a noun. Their verb is goes and suggesting. Adverb is just. Similarly, in the next sentence, it's able to detect like writing, assistant, workflow. These are nouns and there are verbs and adverbs like this. Similarly, sentiments are been like identified. And likewise, after everything is done, like after all the analysis, there is average, on average, the sentiment of the text is positive. So by this way, like we are able to identify the part of speech and even the sentiment of any text. And actually, this is something I am actually using in right tone. If you see these words over here, like it is being identified as noun. Similarly, this one is adjective, and accordingly, based on the like part of speech, I'm giving it like synonyms to change. For example, like to change important with big, appropriate with, for example, applicable. So this actually there in production, like with the same approach I'm telling you, like I'm revealing you my secret, what I'm doing in the background. Same logic. There's like a few block of code and it is achievable. So guys, do you have any question?
So this was, I think, the important thing to see here is that what we see on the front portal of the righttone.com, right? How it is functioning in the back end, right? This is how modules are being trained and how is detecting the text and how is going further and further and further, right? So, any questions from the team? Yes, Umar.
I'm just confirming this. Basically, your demo is taking data from the user and putting some like logics on that data and then output the data. Is that demo?
Yeah. Actually, what we do actually in the demo we are demonstrating the first is like this T5 NLP model, how the model is working, and there is this library of NLTK. There are two things, and these two have different purposes. For example, T5 is known for paraphrasing. So the first is like how can we paraphrase? Like for example, ChatGPT paraphrases, right? So what's happening in the background? So because ChatGPT is paraphrasing the same approach what we are doing here. Like they are using PyTorch on to train on a very large number of data. And there is other approaches also like on which it is optimized. But on a very grassroots level, this is the concept. Like paraphrasing is something like tokenized, then just to pass through this LLM and just to change the words based on its context. Similarly, for the part of speech, like
Sorry to interrupt.
yeah,
What is tokenized?
tokenization is to convert the text into the smallest element which the model can understand. I'll give you one example over here. For example, if you go to OpenAI, for example, like OpenAI is using like tokens. Like there's a common thing over there. Their billing is based on tokens. If you go to even API reference, uh, so the pricing is based on tokens. So everything in LLM or NLP world is based on tokens. See these tokens. My screen is visible.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
seeing it.
So this is the smallest unit for the LLM to process. It can be composed of one character or multiple character depending on the language which you are using. I'll give one example. In this case, for example, W, R, I, T, E, each are individual character. But for example, it will be a one token. Apostrophe and S will be another token. So it depends on the token as a logic or the LLM model on which it is programmed to consider what token is. For example, in the same thing, if I pass Arabic language, so each Arabic character will consume more tokens. So this is like the smallest unit in which we can break. Like if I just split out or split out a token of each step, it will just say W one token, R another token, I another token, T another token. Then it might take .com as like a single token. So this is like a small units for tokens, like for this LLM to process. And this is the tokenizer logic for that particular NLP model or like library or function. Similarly, T5 has this model approach, like based on this training. Similarly, NLTK has its own approach. Yeah, this is like, so we have to import the tokenizer from that particular library also. Like NLTK, we imported the tokenizer. Similarly, for this one also, T5 tokenizer was imported. So because in LLM world, the each processing in the mini is directly proportional to the number of tokens being processed, and each token will consume the GPU cycle. So this is how its pricing is done. That's why the pricing is around tokens.
So Farooq,
Understood?
in order to learn that, like we need to learn Python first, right? Like, or we need to have a basic know-how, how to code in Python, right?
You said, yeah, like programming language is like is need for like everything right now. Like for everything is like if you are in any IT field, like even in networking, there's a need of programming language because automation is very common these days. So Python is like a, basic thing like every engineer or every IT engineer should be knowing it. So it's regardless of whether someone is coming in machine learning or not, the guy should be knowing Python, at least basic of Python.
Okay.
But these days, I'll give one example. Like for example, if you have to configure a router in a large scale, so you will not do it manually. Like if you have thousands of router, so you will use a script. Similarly, like if you have to extract some data out of some other engineering thing, like for example, some even like some even from some raw data from Excel. Okay, so you will use Panda to get some information from this data. So Python is like a basic thing, like we all must be knowing it. If you want, like for the next 10 years, like if you want to survive, like anything, no? Any other questions, or I just proceed?
So usually machine learning is happening automatically in the background, or you have to program it as well, based on neural networks.
Actually, your voice is not audible. Like, can you speak louder, a little bit louder? Let me increase my volume.
Yeah. So front end, I think you mentioned about the Python and all, but in the back end, the machine learning, usually you have to code it, or you just do the basic and then let the machine use a neural network and other sort of algorithm to learn by themselves.
Yeah, Python is the basic, like you can say, the approach to interact with the framework. For example, the most of the framework, TensorFlow, I give them. TensorFlow can be integrated or can be like can be accessed via JavaScript along with with Python also. PyTorch, we use Python. Okay, like based on which framework we are using. For example, these two are like very popular framework like PyTorch and TensorFlow. So there are other options available also, but the easiest language to understand is Python. If you want to interact with the framework to train a model or to deploy a model, the easiest thing is like to have some Python knowledge.
But I think
Thank
the main thing is that you set up from the machine learning perspective. What I understand is that you will set it up once, and after that, machine will start analyzing the data, right, based on the logic that you have developed.
Actually, Python is only one component. I will, after the end of this section, I will show you like there are many tools required for machine learning. Like because yeah, there's a slide. There is a coming slide. I will show you like which tools are required for machine learning. So Haribai, should we break here or should we start?
I think we'll take a break in 10 minutes. I think 12:15 or
Yeah.
8:15 and
Because this will
9:15.
be like a long section now.
Yeah. In 10 minutes, we'll take a break.
For 10 minutes, we're taking break. Okay.
After 10 minutes, yeah.
Okay.
So we will resume at 12:15 or?
Yeah, no, 12:15 we'll take a break, maybe for 10 minutes break for the prayer for the Pakistan. They have Isha time, right? So 12:15 we'll take a break.
Okay, we will take a break in 10 minutes. Okay.
Yeah.
So I will just try to finish this. Okay. So machine learning, this is like a basic framework for machine learning. So machine learning framework involve all this like steps, and the key or main parts are data collection, data modeling, and deployment. So if I just proceed, like the first question should be is like, when shouldn't we use machine learning? So simple is like, if anything can be done with basic or simple if-else statements, then there is no need to complicate or overcomplicate things by using machine learning. So the step one of any like this machine learning framework is to collect the data. Like I use the data from Kaggle. Okay, so we have, first of all, we have to get the data from different sources. And then we have to clean the data, like because data can have some duplicate or some other like outliers or something which we don't need. So we have to clean this data. Next thing is like we have to analyze the data, like to get some useful insights and to identify any important features. We have to analyze the data, whether something is useful or not. And this data comes in like different shapes and sizes. So few of the data, they are structured data, and which are like normal Excel rows and column. And there are other like unstructured data, which are like audio or any pictures or like images. So, and within these two data types, there are further two types like static and streaming data. So static data are those data which does not change over time, like static spreadsheet in CSV format. Similarly, there's streaming data which are actually changing over time and constantly changing. For example, stock market change or some stock market depending on news headline. So this news headline is changing. These are like example of streaming data, which are not static and keeps on changing. So in a basic or common data science workflow, it begins by static data, which we can open in CSV file in Jupyter Notebook. Then data analysis is performed using Panda. Panda is a Python library for data analysis. Then for making any visualization like graph, we use matplotlib. Then to make some like basic models, we can use scikit-learn. It's the easiest of like PyTorch, TensorFlow, and like scikit-learn is the easiest of them. So this is the basic data science workflow. So Python is only one of them, and Python is like used along with Jupyter. Like Jupyter Notebook is actually using Python code. Now the evaluation criteria or the evaluation metric is the measure of how well a machine learning algorithm predicts the future. So we have to define some success criteria. For example, if we are evaluating or deploying or training any model for any medical reason, then we need some high accuracy, like 97%. But for example, if you're doing it for other reasons which are not critical, we can go with the lower accuracy rate. But for medical reason, like we need something like if you have to detect whether there is any heart issue or any diabetic issue, so we need some high accuracy like 97%.
I think Farooq, the question here is that you mentioned that we have to go to some. Everyone would like to go for the highest accuracy, right? But I think the question is that what is the price we are paying to get the highest accuracy, right? Because
it is coming next slide. There is a slide. It will come.
Yeah.
It is, yeah. So for the another what are features? The feature in simple words is like what we know about data to drive the target variable. So in simple words, like this is the data of a patient, where there is weight, height, glucose level, and the target variable is to determine whether the guy is fasting or not. Okay, so this is like a basic use case. And there are different in the feature. There are two categories, like numerical features and categorical features. Categorical features are non-numerical features, like male, female, fasting, like yes and no. And there is something called derived feature. So the derived feature is one, when you come up with this feature of this data by observing something or something, like manually you got some hold of some information and you populate it. For example, like whether the patient or this visited hospital or like the doctor last year or not. There's something called derived data, and the features are not only in the uh, this structured data. There is like in the unstructured data also there are features. For example, in the cat there are features are like 2 eyes, 4 legs. So these are features of this cat. Okay, so this is the training now. So training the model requires particularly two type of data set: training data set and testing data set. And normally 70 to 80% of data is used for training, and the remaining 20-30% is used for testing or evaluation. The same thing what we did for this one, like our cat and dog testing. So this is the particular split, like your data, you just break it in training, validation, and testing. Validation is something we use to tune the model. Like when we call it fine tuning is something we are using the validation data. It is same like, for example, we have used some learning material for preparing some exam. We have some exam and we are preparing for it. Then we attend some mock exam, some practical exam. So that is something we are validating our knowledge. And if we miss some concept, then we revise those concepts. Then we prepare for the final exam. So this is the same concept over here. Like we are training, we are validating, and we're testing. Problem happens when the practice exam is same like final exam. This means like there is no fine tuning happened. And actually, what happened, like instead of getting trained, there is a memorization. So we have to avoid this type of thing. That's why the training data set and testing data set, they are separate. The same split thing, like 3 splits which we have. Okay, now the question which you asked, like now for modeling a data of like any model, the first step is like choosing a model, training a model, then tuning a model, then model comparison. These are like a basic step. Okay, now for choosing the model, first we have to identify which type of problem is it and what type of data structure is there. If it is a structured data, we would use like random forest or boosting algorithm. If it's unstructured data, you will go with deep learning or transfer learning. Similarly, like we will train the model, get the outcome, like correction. We will do the correction if there's a wrong outcome. Like this is something like normal. Okay, this is the thing like what is the cost we are doing. For example, we use model 1, which is achieving 87% accuracy, but the training time is 3 minutes. But if we use another model like model number 3, which took 3 hours, but the accuracy which we achieved is of 94%. So we have to determine based on our use case, should we invest extra 3 hours to achieve like around like 7% improvement or not? This because there is a cost, and this training has a cost. GPU time would be there, and the training is not only like sometime it can take many months for the model to be trained. So this is the time duration which we have to keep into consideration when we are training the model. And there's one more parameter also which we have to consider, which will come later on. So till now, there are few things to remember, like some models work better than other. We have to keep on trying things and don't be afraid of trying stuff. And to build a model, we have to start small. Then we have to keep on adding complexity. So now tuning the model, we have to tune their hyperparameters. For example, if there's a random forest algorithm we are using for any structured data, we can tune the number of trees which is being used. Like we can increase from 3 to 5. Similarly, for unstructured data, we can tune the number of layers which are being used. Like from 2 layers, we can go for 3 neural layers, something like this. So when we are tuning, we have another 3 things to remember, that there is always some hyperparameter to tune. And if the first results are not good, doesn't mean like the last one, we can keep on fine tuning. And the tuning data set and the validation data set should be separate than the testing data set. And so whenever we are testing a model, this is now the testing phase. The training performance and testing performance should be near about similar. If for some reason, like if you see this right one, if for some reason testing performance is very, very bad or lower than a training performance, then the model is underfitting. Similarly, for some reason, if the testing is like 99% and the training was 91%, the model is overfitting. Like why this happened is some anomaly. So like in the basic regression approach, when we like doing statistics, the best is the balanced one, which is covering all the points. If we have a straight line, it's missing many points. If we have like if covering all the points like overfitting, which will fail on most of the like future test cases. So there should be a balanced approach. And why overfitting, underfitting happens is the same thing. Like when the testing data is leaked into training data, like when the final exam is leaked to the practice exam, so then there is memorization instead of training. So then the third thing, which is like another cost, is the prediction time. So when you are querying any model, how much time it takes to respond. For example, like it takes like 1 second to respond. So this means like whenever we are querying it, the answer will come after 1 second. Similarly, over here is like 0.5 second, but 87% accuracy, and the training time was 3 minutes. So depending on the accuracy and the query time and the training time, we will choose the model which is best for our use cases, considering the trade-off in terms of time, GPU cost, training cost, because GPU is very, very expensive. Like it takes like many hours or months to train. That's why OpenAI, for example, went with partnership with Microsoft to use their cloud for training OpenAI or training for ChatGPT. So in this thing, like if the use case is like to have some like 91% accuracy and with the prediction time of like 1 second, so we can go with this model, like model number 2. So for here, the like thing to remember is like we have to avoid overfitting and underfitting. You have to keep the data set separate at all the cost, and we have to compare apple to apple. This means like when we are giving input data set to all the models while we're testing, training, and tuning, they all should be same so that we know the input data is always was same. And the best performance metric, like any one best performance metric actually does not equal to the best model. For example, for this one, the best performance metrics is the accuracy 94%. Similarly, for this one, the best performance metrics is the training time and the prediction time. Similarly, for this one, there was this like a middle way for the training time. So we have to see which model is best for our use case instead of going with the best model. Like there is no best model actually, because based on tuning the parameters or hyperparameters, the model accuracy, training time, and prediction time will keep on changing. The same thing, like if you're playing with ChatGPT keep on changing. Like if you ask one prompt today, after 1 month, if you ask the same prompt again, it will give you another answer because it has been trained. Like because over the time it has been trained on the user data, and this prompt answer has been changed. Okay, now question was like how many tools do we use?
One
Python.
second, Farooq. I think we have to take a break, and I think there's a question. Okay. Right, we have to take a prayer break. 10 minutes break. I think whoever wants to go for a prayer break in Pakistan, please go. Whoever wants to take a bio break, and there's a question here. AI is dependent on data. If the corrupt data is provided to AI, so prediction will be totally different. So I think yes, your input is required for this one. And meanwhile, I think whoever wants to go for prayer, carry on with the prayer.
Okay. So we are taking break, right? Okay.
Yeah, we're taking
So,
break.
so it's a 10 minutes break, right?
Yeah,
So
10 minutes.
we will resume at like 12 to 26 or?
Yeah, 12:26 Eastern, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And I think Rizwan asked a question, Farooq, here. Rizwan is asking about the data being corrupted is pointed to AI, what will happen?
It will give the correct answer. The same issue which is happening with Google, right? Because Google AI models, they are trained on some biased data, and whenever they are responding, they're responding with those biasness. So if your input data is biased or corrupted, the output data will be biased and corrupted. So because training is done on the existing data, it cannot be trained by itself. So whatever the input you provide, there will be a reflection in the output.
Right. Any other questions? Yeah, I think, Farooq, if you get time, maybe I would like you to probably, like the way we have run through the righttune.com, maybe the other product that you have, right? The Boost Ping and the Boost Editor, maybe you can just quickly give a demo to the team once they come back, right?
Okay.
Yeah, it will be a good idea just to show them that the technologies that you have been teaching in this slide deck, how is being implemented practically in your tools, right?
Okay, sure. Let's join after 5 minutes break.
Yeah,
Okay.
just go. No problem.
Yeah, okay. No.
Meanwhile, if someone has questions, please write it in the chat window. Maybe we can take it them later on, right? Or come back.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम हारिस भाई, मेरी आवाज आ रही है?
हाँ, Shan, yes, I can hear you. आवाज आ रही है.
I'm right now in Kalam, northern
अच्छा.
Pakistan.
Maybe not in the right time, huh?
Kalam. No, his signal is very weak. So
अच्छा,
I'm
ठीक है,
very
okay. अच्छा, कालाम
difficult
फैमिली
for
के साथ
me
है
to join from here, but
ये.
still, कलाम बिल्कुल अपसाइड पे है, तो यहाँ
हाँ,
पे
वो फैमिली के साथ है.
कोई जी फाइन सर.
जबरदस्त जबरदस्त जबरदस्त.
मैं एक क्वेश्चन छोड़ रहा हूँ. वेब 3.0 के बाद से व्हाट इज द चेंजेस इन द एआई? मुझे लगता है कि वेब 3.0 के बाद से एआई के अंदर एक चेंज आया है, काफी चेंज आया है, एक्टिविटी आई है. तो इज इट ट्रू और वो पैरेलल में अपनी चल रही है एआई?
Let Farooq come. He can answer more specifically. Definitely, AI. So yeah, this all is evolution, right? It's been happening constantly. It's not stopping, right? So things have been changing a lot, especially now. The way I see from the industry perspective, because my perspective is different. I'm mainly on the using the technologies, right? AI-based technologies that vendor is bringing. I'm working more towards that. What we have discussed so far is the development of the AI technology, right? So why the way I see that, the way in last 6 months at least, it's become a mandatory must for every vendor and every supplier that the product will bringing in the market. They must have to have some AI-based capabilities, right? So it's more of a buzzword, but it's not just the buzzword. I would say at the same time, it's become mandatory for every product to have native AI capabilities to analyze the data, to give the better results, to reduce the human involvement for some of the repetitive tasks. So definitely AI is started coming up in most things that I'm seeing in my field, right? And I think it will be same for every field. In all the study that we have been doing, I think one thing becoming very clear, and I think it's a takeaway for everyone to is to make sure that learning Python, I think, is almost a must for anyone working in IT, regardless you are in AI or not in AI, you are on network side, cybersecurity side, any other side. I think knowledge of the Python is almost mandatory now. If you are not an expert, I would say at least have some base knowledge, at least to understand the code of the Python. And I think just make sure that each one of you spend some time, I think, on learning basics of the Python. This is almost a must, I think, in the new world. Okay, I think people are back. Farooq, are you there? Just give a minute. Python is a coding language, right? It can be used many ways. It's not just for human and machine. I would say it's used almost in everywhere. And it's been there for a while. It's not new, right? It's been there for many years actually.
Basically पाइथन को स्क्रिप्टिंग लैंग्वेज कहते हैं, राइट? तो स्क्रिप्टिंग क्या पर्पस होता है उसका?
बहुत सारे पर्पस होते हैं. I mean, the is a coding language, right? So yeah, scripting is kind of coding. So end of the day, let's say if I am a network analyst, I am a cybersecurity analyst. So a lot of time, what I have to do, I have to configure a lot of devices, right? So in large network, let's say in America, Canada, Europe, we have networks where networks have hundreds and thousands of devices, right? In old days, it was not that much. The way I started my career 25 years ago, 30 years ago, we used to have few routers or switches in the network. Let's say we just go and configure manually one by one. This is impossible now, right? So what happened that if I know a coding language like a Python or a scripting language like Python, what happened that I can build a template and I can just push the config to thousands of devices. So instead of logging into every device, I can just write a quick script and get this thing done in 5 minutes, right? Before I was spending thousands of hours. Same thing, a lot of time in the industry, we need to pull data. We have to analyze a lot of data. So we have to pull data from the devices, and sometimes we manually log into the device, we get that information. But this is again impossible when you are having thousands of devices in a large networks, right? So what happened that with the tools like Python, we can just write a quick script and it can pull the information from thousands of devices in seconds, right? And this is the very common use case in industry, especially for a network administrator and cybersecurity administrator. This is a very common use case where they have to configure the tons of devices. They have to pull the information from the devices. So they write these scripts, and scripts do the magic, right? So they just reduce all this human efforts to go into the device and pull the information. Farooq, you are back?
Something here. Yeah, I'm back. I'm add something here because
Yeah.
not only like deployment with is done by Python right now, like even for troubleshooting, people are using Python or scripting languages. Like Python is one of them. So even like in hyperscalers, the first tier or first line of this operation event is are bots. There are no human on the first line of event. So bots will try to recover from any event, and they will try to fix something which is broken, and they will even prevent something. If you as a recent example which was there in public was a Facebook outage. There was some BGP outage. So over there, their script misbehaved, due to which there was this large outage. So similarly, because they are, it's very common to use the why it misbehaved because they have prevention approaches. So the script which was supposed to prevent that was broken. So that's why there was this outage. So this automation is used in every component of this operation, like even from deployment, troubleshooting, operation, even for scaling. Like scaling or is done automatically, not like there is no need of human. Similarly, for like if we like deploying on AWS or Azure, there is a concept of auto scaling. So there is no need of any human intervention now. Like it will automatically scale based on the user requirement. Like if there is a large flood of traffic coming in, no one will go and deploy more. It will automatically scale depending on the user consumption. So in summary, like at least one language everyone should be proficient now, so that most of the automation tasks can be done easily. It could be anything like copying stuff from Excel to email, that can be done also, all the way to troubleshooting events.
Right. And Yusuf, to your answer, yes, Python you can learn independently. You don't have to have any Java background. You can do Python on its own. And there are many online free tools available. I think we'll see. I think I'll find few courses. There are a lot of courses, Python courses, at least on YouTube, and as well as some other LinkedIn Learning and others, right? So definitely you can do on your own without having any Java background.
See, I'll give you one example if I'm screen share, like it's like off topic. So there is an automation being done at Facebook. There is like Facebook engineering. Their content is open to public. So there, even they steer the traffic, pay the traffic, and there was some breakdown happen, and now they have a new pairing automation approach, and because it once broke, and because of this automation, there was one event happened in which the whole Facebook was down, and in the background, one of the automation phase mechanism was like faulty. So it's like a very good read if someone wants to go and just look there, like engineering.facebook.com. It's like they have all the design open to public, which are interesting to read, like from infrastructure to like physical infrastructure. Someone
Oh,
from networking, they can go through
yes, I
networking
didn't know
stuff.
that. Very good.
Okay, so here back to machine learning. So, uh, so so Python is one of them. Python has many libraries like pandas, matplotlib, and numpy for handling all this data. Similarly, they have their machine learning framework like PyTorch, TensorFlow, XGBoost, scikit-learn, and ChatGPT is actually trained on PyTorch. And like you can see, like it has a practical use case, but most popular is TensorFlow, which people are using. And the issue with all this model is like it requires GPU. So Google Colab, they offer free GPU if you are using their platform to run the scripts. So like it's very simple. Like you can just go to Google Colab, and you can just start creating sequence of code, and it will start running in the background. And you can even import libraries and see what's happening and how to play with it. There's something like free to start with it. So it's Google Colab. Now, like what is deep learning? Because it's like a advanced tier now. So deep learning is actually an advanced form of AI that actually mimics a human brain to solve and to learn problems and to keep on getting better based on the previous experience. So it actually involves using a neural network with layers to process data, like as human do. So these neural networks are designed to mimic the way neurons in our brain process and transmit information. So this is a typical neural network. So in neural network, each node receive input, process it, like each node receive input, process it, and then produce an output and pass it to the next layer. Like so it will be described later on, like in much more detail. Similarly, like there's input layer which is just taking raw data, and hidden layer they're actually neurons, which has some functions on it, and there is some activation function also which are enabling or disabling neurons. And then once the calculation is performed on any particular layer, it is passed on to the next layer. This is mainly used in speech recognition or like image recognition, like it's like common use case these days. Okay, it had a subcategory which is CNN, convolution neural network, which is particularly designed to process and analyze visual data. Like it's like the branch of ANN. So it has this approach. I am skipping this because in briefly what it's doing, like convolution layer is actually the logic. Max pooling is like descaling the data, like to reduce resolution, for example. Dense layer is doing actually the classification, but like it is more mainly like a predefined function which we can reuse. So in deep learning, this is like what's happening. For example, we have to identify this circle. So these are input points, and this B is like B, and this one they are the hidden layers. They are the neurons. So each neurons has some weight assigned to it, and there is some activation function which is actually enabling neuron to fire, for example. And there is this forward propagation. So this circle will be divided into like 28 by 28 pixel. It will pass on to each neuron. Then each neuron, based on the activation function and weight, will perform some calculation. There is some logic on each neuron. And then, for example, it identify the circle as a square. So as the next step, a correction will happen. It will see, okay, there is some error or minus 0.5 on this one, and this one is some error. And this error will be back propagated to this model, and it will perform correction by adjusting the weights so that it can rightly detect this circle as a circle. So once these weights have been realigned based on this error feedback, again, like it will just perform the forward correction, forward propagation, and based on this weight and activation function, it now correctly identifies it as a circle. This is the basic approach of neural network, like how this deep learning is working. However, like there are many different functions which are assigned on each neuron based on the use cases, but the base concept is very same, and it's like this one. In NLP, now this is NLP. I'm like NLP is also using neural networks. So there are two common approaches for NLP, like RNN, recurrent neural network, and the transfer model, which are like used by ChatGPT. So in the recurrent neural network, RNN actually are type of the network that can handle sequential data, and they're using this sequential data to predict next word. This like sequencing and then prediction. However, in transfer model, like they're using approach of some attention mechanism, like a context, which is even used by ChatGPT. So they're what they're doing is they're assigning weight to each word in relation to the parent word. So there is some self attention mechanism in a sentence where each word has some weights, which is used in the prediction. So this approach is there in transfer model, and there's some text on it. You can read it like on the slide, like later on. So like there are a few applications of NLP, like sentiment analysis, as we have seen. Similarly, text generation, we have seen like we can paraphrase using NLP models. Similarly, we have a live use case of this one of transfer model like GPT-3, 3.5, Claude, all this thing. They're using this model. Same thing. This LLM is a transfer model, but it is working on a very large data. Like there's a lot of text has been embedded or feed fed to it. So what they are doing is they are using vectors to store data. So what embedded vectors are, they are grouping or clustering same type of text or information in a close vicinity in this vector database. So for example, like animal information will be clustered together, and then this food information will be clustered together. So these are like embedded vectors over there. And if we have vectors, we have to save it somewhere. So for this saving it, we got this vector database. And how these vectors are created, for example, like there is this image, picture, sound, whatever we have, it is passed on to an embedding model. This embedding model then converts it into vectors, actually, like a vectors embedding or vectors. And then if vectors are saved into vector database. And whenever we are querying anything, we're actually querying, we pass the query to this embedding model like same one, and then it is passed to this vector database. This information is retrieved and it is passed back to the as a response to this query. So this is actually happening on using OpenAI also. Like OpenAI has this embedding model, fine-tuning models. They're open to like you can use it using their API to fine-tune something like you want to respond on top of their response. And we can see right now like how can we have our own local GPT in our laptop. So for this one, as I have.
So meanwhile, does anyone have any questions before we go for GPT? Okay.
Yeah, I just have one question about the using GPT tools. There is a risk of violation of data, or they store your information, and over the time they can form an idea about you, and then there comes a time when you ask a question and they answer based on your needs and based on your background. And I have seen this.
Okay. To answer this question, like in this, like all this, like for example, Google is giving everything is for free, but actually it's not free. Similarly, this LLM models like OpenAI is giving access via ChatGPT as a free to people. Actually, there is something what they are taking is they're taking users' data to train their model, and because each LLM is very expensive, they have to somehow take out this cost. So they are actually getting this data from like mass public, and training their model. And this is how they have much more edge over other competition, like Mistral is one of them. There is like Llama 3, Llama 2, Gamma, Pi 3, because OpenAI gave it for free, and they got more data from public, and they are able to better train their model. And this is the cost we are paying. We are giving them our data so that they can help us for our like to have some chat with ChatGPT. Well, I know there is a lot of cost behind it. I can show you right now in this model, because this model, if you are very, very conscious about your data, you can run the model locally. Like there are many open source freely available model, Llama 3, 5, and Llama 3, and there's Llama 2 also by Facebook. There's a Mistral, there's Gamma by Google, there's a 5.3. So you can run this model locally and then manage them using Olama. Like I'm running Olama on my laptop. See this guy, this Llama. This is Olama, which is actually managing my models. So I don't just downloaded it, run it, configured it, and I'm using it to manage my local models. So for me, this model data and all the interaction is staying locally. It's not going towards the internet. Similarly, like I'm more on using this Mistral right now because it's much more lightweight and like a balance between GPU and the response time. And to run it, for example, there are three things. Like Mistral is the LLM, which I will be using. Olama will be sort of managing this LLM. And there is another thing called private GPT, which is like a open library to interact with Olama to give us a portal, something like this, something like this.
This
So
your
by
own
this
private
way,
GPT.
yeah, it's like one private GPT running on my. You can okay, to demonstrate the cost of this thing, I will try to run it side by side.
I think the short answer to you, Yusuf, there's no free lunches in the world, right? The
Yeah,
point
the
is that
freelance. Yeah, this is right.
they give you tools for free, but they have your information, they have your contacts, and that's kind of a downside. If you want to avoid that, then you have to run the information locally and run these tools locally, but definitely that might not be that much beneficial, right? So there's always pros and cons, and the point is that nothing for free, right?
Yeah, can these apps be run on iPhone as well? Like before we the ones that you're suggesting?
iPhone by default it's integrating with OpenAI. If you follow the news, like if they have made a deal with OpenAI, so in future any data which you run, like Apple came up with this Apple Intelligence brand name, so so they will be by default interacting with OpenAI. Like they already have a very deep embedding in their iOS to work with OpenAI. And next thing is like if you can we run this models independently, maybe on Android by like routing it, we can do it. On iPhone, I don't think so. Like they give this flexibility to users to play with it.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, but theoretically and practically also, it's possible to run these models on a mobile phone. If you have Android and you can crack it, like you can route it, you can run it, and even on Raspberry Pi, it's possible. So so this thing, like if you really concerned about your data, run this model locally. Like I'm running this one now. It's like my private GPT, which is actually interacting with Olama and I'm not like jumping. And you can see, and then this Olama is interfacing with this private GPT portal because Olama is actually exposing some API calls. So there are two options to actually to call those API call by myself or use this portal to interact with this API call. Another thing this private GPT is doing, it is converting the file which you're providing to it into embedding and storing in a vector database. So I can show you now, like for example, this is a normal query I'm doing, which is to LLM. I'm asking him what is sun, for example. So as you can see, like I'm asking this question, and the right side, my GPU, I can show my GPU will spike. See, my GPU is spiking. There's a graph. See this. You see, suddenly my GPU spiked on the memory usage as well as on the CPU usage to give this answer. Similarly, if I ask what is moon, if you missed it, like it is being processed locally, it gives the response, but at the same time, I'm paying the cost in terms of GPU. There was a 3D processing cost, and there was a cost to in the memory to handle this vector databases. Similarly, because this is the cost, like OpenAI and everyone, they are paying. They are actually they are bearing the cost for us. Similarly, the one of the use case what we can do as like engineers, we can upload our own like some office files on which we can speak with. For example, some documentation we can upload and we can speak to that document which we have uploaded. For example, what I've done is like I have just uploaded my LinkedIn profile in terms of I just converted to PDF, and I just did upload file, and it's now converted into embedding, and it's now in a vector database. So if I ask it to query my file, not say I change the mode to query my file. No, I will just ask him, for example, like who is Anwar. So now what it is doing, it is looking up locally on the LinkedIn information which I have shared with it. It is not going over the internet for sure. It is just trying to get some information. See, it is something which is there on my LinkedIn, and it gave the sources also. So it's like one example. You can populate any number of documentation. I can show, like if I can populate something. When you're showing like how much time it takes to convert, for example, if I put anything, it will take some time to convert to embedding in this one. So now it will convert to embedding, and then it will appear. I think it will got it. Anyways. So likewise, like it is possible to like open any documentation and speak to any documentation. So for this one, like if I want to continue to chat with my LLM model, like describe Cisco configuration or MPLS, for example. See, it is giving it locally. There's a spike, CPU spike. I'm not accessing anything outside. Like you can see, my network is stable. The CPU spike and memory utilization, and it gave this information locally. So this is the how you can actually build your private GPT, run on your local files with your local LLM without exposing your your office or corporate data or personal data to this like to this LLM model which they are using to train their models. And this concept is actually called RAG. Because I went with the easiest approach, and another approach to use RAG is with LangChain, which I personally like prefer because I have the more control and I am actually developing the private GPT in a much more customized way. So if I use LangChain, it's a bit complicated to set up, but it gives the more control in this whole RAG approach.
I think Umar has a question. Umar, go ahead.
Well, thank you for answering my question. That's very helpful, though. Thank you.
I want to ask that you are running a private GPT, and it is
Mhm.
giving you information about sun, moon, and like this.
Yeah.
So from where it is getting data? Like how it
Okay.
is an answer.
Okay. It's not only sun, moon. It can give whatever data it has been trained on. So if I go to Mistral, I am using Mistral, and they have the information about it. Like, for example, It is already trained on 7.25 billion parameters. Like there is like a lot of TB of data on which it has been trained. So it already had this information, and when I downloaded this one, it was like around like 4 gig of LLM I had to download, and which is there running locally. So all this information in the form of vectors, it's already there in my laptop.
Okay. And it has also knowledge of languages.
Yeah.
So we can make it to make any program, any Python program or JavaScript, whatever.
Technically, yes, but even I give it the ChatGPT the best of these. So even if you use ChatGPT to make the program, those codes are not perfect. They're not like plug and play. Like they still some tweaking has to be done to make those code actually executable.
And it can interact with your computer or not.
Yeah, technically, yes, we can interact. But if you say, if you assume like you will just ask it, okay, build a program for like for like anything, like if you want to make, so it will give you the code, but it is programmed to output something. That's why it will never say no until unless someone put a artificial barrier. It will not say no. Okay, because they face a mechanism put by this companies, but by default LLM will respond, and that's why this hallucination comes in, because it tries to complete whatever you are asking. Even if it is not aware, it will try to complete the information.
Yeah,
Because LLM actually has no intelligence. It is like auto completion approach. It is completing the sentence. That's why LLM at many times are failing in mathematical calculations. Until and unless it is trained on those specific models, then it recognizes and then just tweak it by other chain. But by default, LLM will fail on mathematics. That's why in the early days when the ChatGPT was there and these models were there, they were failing on mathematics. And there were a lot of humor around the questions, like on the mathematical question or logical question, because actually they are not using any logical reasoning. They are just doing text completion or text prediction. You cannot do any statistical logic, or so you can give some data and ask, okay, predict it for what it will be done next year based on this data. So it will try to autocomplete, but will not do any logical reasoning. It will not actually analyze the data. It will try to correlate what will happen in the background. It will get the data. There is something done before. It will try to correlate and then just try to give some output. That's why if you see, sometimes ChatGPT gives output from Reddit or some
well,
output from some other social media platform, because those things or those questions, like common is Stack Overflow. Or most of this training on coding is done by Stack Overflow. Someone asks the question on Stack Overflow. That same question, if you ask, it will try to recall from its memory and try to complete it based on the weight it's signed on the like adjacent words. So this is how it is doing. Like,
well, I have
it is not.
experienced, like ChatGPT is a failing on reading the websites as well. I give a command to, like bring some information from the recent incident, and it came back saying, I'm sorry, I don't have the capability to read the website or why internet, whatever is available on the website. But in some
ChatGPT cannot read
cases,
internet. ChatGPT cannot read internet. ChatGPT, the way it is designed, it's disconnected from the internet. For a very very short span of time, I think for a few weeks only, they connected it with internet via plugin, but due to some security reason, they disconnected it, because ChatGPT has a knowledge till the date it is trained on. If you ask ChatGPT till what date you are trained on, it will give you the last date. So if you ask something beyond that date, it cannot answer. If you ask something to what is there on this website, until and unless it is trained on the data on that website, it will respond. Otherwise, it will not respond.
yeah, I experienced that. In some cases, they responded to the outside
Yeah.
news. Okay, so it's a
So
timing.
it depends on. So if that website was part of the data set, okay, they will respond. But if something new came up, they have no idea something new came up. So if you ask for about the like yesterday's match score, it cannot respond.
Yeah.
Actually, it's the issue with all the LLM model. Even the Mistral which I'm using might be having some cutoff date. So it cannot respond to anything coming after that cutoff date.
Yeah, that's good to learn. Thank you. And this right tone also has the same issues, or right tone bypass?
Okay. First of all, right tone it mostly is on like a paraphraser. So whatever information you put in, it will try to rephrase it. And for the subject matter expert, it is trained on the knowledge which is there before. Like for example, like mathematics information doesn't keep on changing. Like similarly, physics information doesn't change overnight. So it is targeting the students which are like from like class 1 to like university. So it is targeting that span. So for that part, the knowledge stays same. Similarly, for the paraphraser, like whatever you input as a text, it will paraphrase depending on the tone which you have chosen. For example, like this one, if I make it engaging, it will convert this data to the engaging one based on the pre-trained model on how to paraphrase a text to make it more engaging. It is not using a memory out of itself. There is some memory implementation in the subject matter expert that is for that specific use cases which are defined here. For example, like if you ask finance bot to tell what happened in the financial market yesterday, it cannot answer. But if you ask how to solve financial problem, financial question, similarly for the physics, if you ask what happened on moon yesterday by like for example by NASA, what was it will not answer. But if you ask a physics question, it will answer. So something like which not changing is not depending on streaming data, it will not answer. Something which is depending on static data, uh, it will answer. For the streaming data, it will not answer. So something like this. Like there is some text to voice also. Like there's some voice which we it is trained on, and like we are focusing more on we are focusing more on not to retain any user data. Like just on input come, it is like transform on the fly and send back to the user. I give you like one example, like how I'm using it mostly. Because I'm using human GPT a lot these days because social media or even like LinkedIn or Google, they are suppressing AI generated content. So if I have to make my content much more visible to public, so I have to come up with the approach to make it humanized. And I can show you like with the recent post I did, like I give you one example right now. For example, so this one. This is the post. It is written by human. Okay, like I didn't written by like ChatGPT or like so. I'm just going to see. GPT-0 is one of the famous AI detection mechanism. Like there are many more. So I just went to it and I just asked it check origin. See, it is showing 100%, like 98% written by human. But I know I didn't write it. I just got it generated by AI. So this is the thing like where I'm using on routine basis. Like most of my post, if I go to the previous one also, is humanized using AI. Like I give you one example, like this one. This one also is humanized. See? So, but this way, like I'm using AI to beat AI. And I'm not retaining any information or something like this. Like this something came, okay. So by this way, LinkedIn by default is giving me more preference because LinkedIn is assuming I have created genuine content. It's a genuine content, so give it more preference, and I'm able to bypass the algorithm. So these are the few of the use cases. Like I use right tone for myself also. Any question?
No, it's wonderful. I think his session is being great so far. So I think before wrapping up, if I think we are done with the slides, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, yeah. This
Yeah.
is the
So
last
maybe
slide.
you can walk us through with the boosting and other tools that you have other than RightTune,
Yeah.
right? RightTune is
Yeah.
definitely, I would recommend everyone to go through RightTune and start using it, subscribe it. It's a very good tool, especially for the students and the professionals who are working. It's a great help for sure.
So, Haril, is there a way to record the whole session? Like, are you recording or?
Yes, recording is going on, and every week
Oh.
I will share the after session. Yeah, we have the slide deck and the recording we share. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So describe boosting, I think it will take another session because of the way I am optimizing backbone. Something I can tell you, like what I am doing using AI. I'm using AI for automation. Like actually, I'm working for one customer as a part of Ibernex. So what we are doing is I don't know whether I can share that portal or not. But we have created one portal in which if any incident happen, so by using AI, we are sort of mitigating the network event. So we are creating bots. We are calling it Monbot, and the bots spin in and they go and troubleshoot the network event using AI. So using the AI, what we are doing is we are creating a pre-knowledge, like whatever events have been happened, and from those things, whenever any event happened, it goes to the machine learning, see and identify, okay, whether it's happened before, what action to be taken, what is the workflow, and then it goes and automatically access the devices and try to mitigate the problem. So instead of having any human as the first line of operation event, these bots spin in and they go there and they just fix the problem. So this is one of the use cases we are actually working on as a part of Kubernetes to fix this operation event using monbots, we call it, as a part of AI. There are other things also we are working as a part of AI, like an orchestrator, and we call MOOC AI. So which is like under like it's not officially released yet, but something what we're working to build some orchestrator all around AI, which will use different models and different platforms to spin up things like what we are doing manually. It will be done by the orchestrator. So there are few things what we are doing like or expanding on AI right now. Any more questions? I think Haribai, this slides and everything will be shared, right? So I think it's already recorded.
Yes, I think we will have this recording, so for sure, and also we will normally share the slide deck, right, for the reference. And also, I think in your deck, do one thing as a favor to the students, just add in the last, let's say, if someone wants to pursue some hands-on exercise and some more advanced level knowledge in the AI field, right? What tools and just to summarize few things for the team to whoever are interested, right? They can learn more.
Yeah, okay, I will start something. How to start a machine learning career and all this
Yeah,
thing, right?
something like that,
Yeah.
exactly. Few, maybe one
Yeah.
slide just to have a few learning path that they can take, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be good. I think this was a wonderful session for sure. It was a lot of learning for every one of us for sure. And thanks a lot, Farooq, for sparing time to, first of all, generate this content, go through with us and present to us, and also sharing a lot of insight. I think team really enjoyed and really appreciate your time doing all of that for the team for sure. Any comment from the team before we wrap it up? Yeah, so I think, yeah, we'll be connected. I think me and Farooq will be here for next few minutes, at least if someone has any questions. And yes, definitely, Farooq has great insight and knowledge. To connect him on the LinkedIn. If you want to ask any questions or anything or want to get in touch with him, feel free to connect on the LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the right thing for the professional discussions and connections, right?